The broken city, the sky above, was dark and heavy. Smoke rose from every corner, covering the stars that once made this city beautiful. Buildings were broken, streets were empty. The wind carried dust, ash, and the silence of a city that no longer lived. In the middle of this ruin, a small figure moved slowly. Her name was Sira. She was an alien girl, weak and thin, her body shaking with cold and fear. Her skin, once shining with color, was now pale and dirty. Her clothes were torn. Feet bled as she walked on sharp stones. Sira had no one. Her people, after losing the war, had run away, leaving the weak and wounded behind. They thought she was useless. She was left with nothing, no food, no water, no family. Only this broken city remained, and she knew she would not survive another night. Her stomach hurt from hunger. Her lips were dry and cracked. Her arms hugged her small body, trying to keep warm. But the cold went deep into her bones. She felt tired, so tired. Every step was harder than the last. She passed the old market square where children used to laugh and play. Now it was silent. Bodies lay under the rubble. Shops were destroyed. The air smelled of smoke and metal. Sira looked at a broken mirror lying on the ground. In its cracked glass, she saw her face. Her eyes looked hollow. Her face was thin, and her hair tangled. She almost did not recognize herself. A tear ran down her cheek. She fell to her knees and touched the ground. She was too weak to keep moving. "This is it," she whispered to herself. "Tonight I will die." She closed her eyes. The cold wind blew around her. She thought about her family, who left her without even looking back. Her friends, who disappeared when the first bombs fell. The leaders, who said the weak must be sacrificed for the strong to survive. Sira felt angry, but also very sad. She had always tried to be useful, but it was never enough. In the end, she was thrown away like trash. Suddenly, she heard a sound. A soft crunch of boots on broken stone. Her heart jumped. Was it a wild animal? A soldier? She did not dare to open her eyes, but the steps came closer. Then a shadow fell over her. A large figure stood above her. Sira opened her eyes slowly. She saw legs covered in strange armor, not like her people's armor. It was smooth, dark, and had strange marks. She looked up more and saw a face, not alien, but human, a human soldier. She felt her heart freeze. Humans were the enemy. They were the reason her city was destroyed. Why was he here? Would he kill her? The soldier did not speak. He looked down at her. His face was hard to read. His eyes were tired, but not cold. His uniform was dirty, his helmet scratched. He carried a strange device on his back and a weapon at his side. Sira wanted to move, to run, but her body was too weak. The human soldier knelt beside her. He reached into a small bag at his waist and pulled out a metal bottle. Without saying a word, he opened it and held it out to her. Water.Ira blinked in shock. She looked at the bottle, then at the human's face. He nodded slowly, gently pushing the bottle closer to her lips. Her hand shook as she reached out. She took the bottle and drank. The water felt cold and beautiful as it ran down her dry throat. She did not understand. Why would a human help her? Sira looked into his eyes again. There was no hate in them, only something else, something soft. The soldier gently touched her shoulder, checking her wounds. He took out a small cloth and wiped the dirt from her face. Sira could not believe it. This man, the enemy, was treating her kindly. For days she had walked alone, feeling worthless and forgotten. And now this human was looking at her as if she mattered. The soldier spoke softly for the first time. "Can you stand?" His voice was deep but calm. Sira shook her head slowly. Without hesitation, he slid his arms under her and lifted her carefully. His touch was warm. His strength felt safe. Sira's head rested on his shoulder. She did not fight him. She was too tired, but more than that. For the first time, she felt safe. The human soldier began walking, carrying her away from the cold and the dark ruins. Sira closed her eyes again. But this time, she did not feel fear. She felt warmth, somehow, even. In this broken city, she was not alone anymore. A strange human Sarah slowly opened her eyes. The air around her felt warmer now. She was lying on something soft, not cold stone. A blanket was wrapped around her small body. For a moment, she thought it was a dream, but it was real. She looked around. She was inside a small human camp, built in the corner of a ruined building. The walls were broken, but someone had made a small fire that gave light and heat. There were a few boxes, tools, and a strange machine that made a quiet humming sound. Then she saw him, the human soldier who had saved her. His name was Captain Ellis. But Sira did not know that yet. She just watched him as he sat near the fire, fixing something on a strange device. His helmet was off now. His face looked tired but peaceful. His short brown hair was messy and a small scar crossed his cheek. Sira stayed still, afraid to speak. Why was he helping her? He should have left her to die. That's what her own people had done. Ellis noticed her watching. He gave a small smile. Not a wide smile, but gentle and warm. Then he picked up a small metal bowl and came to her. He sat down beside her and held out the bowl. Inside was some kind of soup, warm, simple, but the smell made Sira's empty stomach growl. "Eat," he said softly. His voice was deep, but not scary. Sira hesitated. She looked at the food, then at him. Could she trust this human? But hunger won. Slowly, with shaking hands, she took the bowl. The soup tasted simple, but it was the most beautiful thing she had eaten in days. Ellis sat quietly, watching her daughter. After a while, Sira found the courage to speak. Her voice was weak, but curious. "Why?" she asked. Ellis looked at her, confused. "Why what?" he replied, gently. Sira swallowed, her eyes wide and sad. "Why? Help me. I'm not human. I'm your enemy." Ellis leaned forward. He took a breath before answering. "Enemy," he repeated. "I don't see an enemy. I see someone who is left behind, alone, just like I've felt before." His words surprised her. She did not expect this answer. Sira lowered her gaze. No one, not even her own people, had looked at her like that, like she was a person. She mattered. Ellis placed a small bandage on her injured arm, carefully wrapping it. His hands were gentle, his eyes kind. Sira felt her heart soften, but questions filled her mind. Humans had destroyed her city, but this one? He was different. The night grew colder, but the fire kept them warm. Sira watched Ellis work on his strange machine again. He seemed patient and calm. Suddenly, a noise came from his radio. Ellis picked it up and listened. "Captain Ellis, report your status," said a voice from the other side. Sira froze. She didn't understand human language well, but she knew it was his people calling him. Ellis replied calmly, his words short and quiet. Then he put the radio down and looked at her again. "We leave soon," he said, gently. Sira's heart sank. "You will leave me?" she asked, her voice almost a whisper. Ellis shook his head. "Not yet," he replied. His eyes told her something she couldn't understand fully. But it felt like a promise. He gave her another blanket and made sure the fire stayed warm. Then he sat near her and leaned back, looking up at the broken roof, where the stars peeked through. Sira lay quietly, her mind full of confusion. Why would a human treat her this way? Why did this man not hate her? As the fire crackled softly and Ellis slowly closed his eyes to rest, Sira watched him carefully in her heart. She felt a tiny spark of hope. Maybe this human was not like the others. Maybe she was not worthless after all, and for the first time since her world was destroyed. She felt safe. The first warmth Sarah woke up before the sun. The fire was still burning softly. The blanket around her felt warm. But what surprised her most was what she felt inside. A strange warmth in her heart. Something she had not felt. In many days, she turned her head slowly and saw Captain Ellis sitting nearby. He had stayed awake almost all night. Akea had leaned back against a broken wall, his eyes half closed but still watching her gently. Sira sat up carefully. Her body still hurt, but it felt less heavy now. She touched the soft cloth on her arm where Ellis had wrapped her wound. The pain was still there, but so was comfort. Ellis noticed she was awake. Morning, he said softly, his voice calm and kind. Sira nodded slowly. She didn't know what to say. Words felt too small for what she was feeling. Ellis reached into a small box and took out something round and soft bread. He handed it to her. Sira took the bread carefully. It was plain, dry, but the smell made her stomach ache with hunger. She ate slowly, feeling grateful. While she ate, Ellis started working again on his strange device. It looked like some kind of scanner, small lights blinking on it. Sira watched him quietly, her curiosity growing. Finally, she found the courage to ask, "What are you doing?" Ellis looked up and smiled gently. "Fixing this scanner. Helps me find supplies, food, medicine, maybe even a safe way out of this city." His words confused her. "Why do you stay? Why not leave me here? I am nothing to you." Ellis paused. His face became thoughtful. Then he put the device down and moved. Closer to where Sarah sat, he spoke slowly, carefully choosing his words. "I was left behind once too," he said. "In a place far from here. I know what it feels like. When everyone thinks you're worthless. When no one comes back for you." Sira's eyes widened. She never imagined a human, her enemy, could understand what she felt. Ellis looked at her gently and added, "You're not nothing, Sira. You're someone who matters." For a long moment, Sira said nothing. Those words felt like sunlight touching her heart after a long winter. Then Ellis did something that surprised her even more. He reached out his hand carefully. His large gloved fingers brushed dirt from her hair. That small touch was like magic. No one had ever touched her with such kindness before. Sira felt warmth spreading through her chest, not from the fire, not from the blanket, from him. The man who should have seen her as an enemy was treating her like she mattered. Ellis picked up a small flask and poured some hot liquid into a metal cup. He handed it to her. "Tea," he explained. Sira took a small sip. It was bitter, but warm. Every small kindness from Ellis made her feel more alive. Suddenly, a loud noise echoed in the distance, a sharp explosion. Sira flinched. Her heart raced. Her body remembered the terror of war. But Ellis reacted calmly. He placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "It's far," he said. Softly, "We're safe for now." His hand stayed there, heavy but gentle, reminding her she was not alone anymore as the morning light crept into the broken building. Sira felt something she thought she would never feel again. Hope Ellis picked up his scanner and stood up. "We move soon," he said. "But for now, rest. You're safe with me." Sira nodded slowly. For the first time since her city was destroyed, she believed those words. She was safe. Not because she had a home, not because she had her people, but because one strange human had chosen to stay, to help, to care, and in his quiet kindness, she felt the first real warmth she had known. Fear. In questions, the sun climbed slowly over the ruins, but Sira stayed close to the fire. The soft glow no longer chased away her fear. It only made her questions stronger. Captain Ellis worked quietly near his equipment. His hands moved with calm skill as he checked his scanner and packed his small bag, but his eyes often turned to Sira. He knew she was watching. He could feel her gaze, full of confusion and doubt. Sira hugged her knees tightly. Her thin fingers trembled. She could not stop thinking. Why was this human helping her? What did he want? Was this a trap? Her own people had left her without a second thought. The strong left the weak behind. It was their way. But this human, he should have seen her as an enemy. But instead, he stayed. Finally, she could no longer keep silent. "Why are you doing this?" she asked suddenly, her voice soft but sharp. Ellis looked up, his calm expression unchanged. "Doing what?" He replied gently. "Helping me," she said. Her voice broke as she spoke. "My own people abandoned me. Why don't you?" Ellis stood still for a moment, as if thinking carefully. Then he sat down beside her, his armor making a quiet noise as he lowered himself onto the cold ground. He rested his arms on his knees, speaking slowly. "Do you think I care that you're not human?" he asked. Sira lowered her head. "Isn't that why your people fought mine? You destroyed this city." Ellis nodded slightly, but there was sadness. In his eyes, war changes everything, he said quietly. "But when I look at you, I don't see an enemy. I see a girl left alone, afraid. Like I was once." His words cut deep into Sira's heart. A memory flashed in her mind. The day her leaders shouted at her, calling her weak. Her friends turning their backs as they ran from the city. And here, this human spoke as if he knew that pain. Sira's hands tightened into fists. "But you're supposed to hate me," she whispered. Ellis shook his head slowly. "Hate is easy in war, but it doesn't heal anything." His voice was soft but strong, full of quiet honesty. Sira looked up at him again. For the first time, she saw more than just a soldier. She saw a man who carried his own pain, and still chose kindness. But fear still lived inside her. "Your people will come soon," she said. "Will they take me away? Will they kill me?" Ellis didn't answer right away. He looked at the scanner's blinking light and then back at her. "They won't hurt you while I'm here," he promised. But Sira saw something hidden in his eyes, a shadow of doubt, a worry he could not share. He wasn't sure if he could truly protect her, was he? That scared her even more. Sira's voice dropped to a whisper. "Why take this risk for me? You don't even know me." Ellis leaned forward, lowering his voice too. "You may think you're nothing," he said softly, "but I see someone brave enough to survive when everything was lost. I won't leave you behind, Sira. Not now." Her eyes filled with tears. Again, she quickly wiped them away, embarrassed, but Ellis did not laugh at her or turn away. He simply offered her a small, warm smile. "I was left behind once too," he repeated gently. Those words stayed in Sira's mind. She felt something shift inside her trust, a small, fragile trust. But real, suddenly, the radio on Ellis's belt made a sharp sound. "Captain Ellis, evacuation in 24 hours. Prepare extraction," a voice said firmly. Sira froze. The words were clear enough for her to understand. Ellis turned off the radio, meeting her wide, frightened eyes. "They're coming soon," he said quietly. Sira's heart raced. She felt panic rising in her chest. Would he still protect her when more humans arrived? Would he keep his promise? Or would he leave her like everyone else? Fear and questions filled her mind, But Ellis gently placed a hand on her shoulder again. "Trust me," he said softly. His voice was calm, but even he didn't know how this would end. An unexpected bond. The day moved slowly, but inside Sierra's heart, time raced. She sat quietly near the warm fire, watching Captain Ellis work on his scanner and gear. Every sound from his tools felt louder than usual. Every small noise outside the camp made her heart jump. She could not stop thinking about what the radio said. Evacuation in 24 hours. Would Ellis keep his promise? Or would he leave her behind when the time came? Ellis glanced at her and gave a soft smile. His calm made it harder for her to understand him. Why was he so kind? Why did he speak gently when he had every reason to hate her? In her world, kindness was rare. People valued strength, not softness, but Ellis was different. In the afternoon, he sat near her with a broken device, a communicator from his kit. He frowned, turning it in his hands. Sierra watched him for a while, then spoke carefully. "You hold it wrong." Ellis raised an eyebrow. "Oh, do you know how to fix this?" Sierra nodded slowly. "That's an old model. My people used similar tech before the war." Ellis handed her the device without hesitation. "Show me," he said gently. For the first time, Sierra felt useful. Her thin fingers moved carefully over the wires and buttons. She remembered the lessons from her father before he left her. She worked quietly while Ellis watched with interest. After a few minutes, the small device gave a soft beep. It worked again. Ellis laughed softly, a genuine, warm laugh. "Impressive," he said. "Looks like I needed your help after all." Sierra looked up at him, surprised. Her chest felt lighter. She smiled to a small smile, but real. Ellis nodded. "We make a good team." Those words warmed her more than the fire in that moment. The camp felt less like a shelter and more like a home. Ellis was no longer just a soldier or an enemy. He was someone who saw her as more than a burden. Evening came, and the sky turned dark again. Ellis cooked a simple meal. He offered her half. Without hesitation, Sierra ate slowly, savoring every bite. Not just the food, but the peace after dinner. Ellis showed her some small things from his bag, a tiny picture of his family back home, a small metal charm he carried for luck, and a notebook where he wrote small notes in a language she could not read. He shared his stories, simple things about his home, the forests where he grew up, the sky on Earth. Sierra listened carefully, fascinated. His world sounded so different, but somehow beautiful. Then she spoke too quietly at first. She told him about the music of her people, about how the city used to shine at night before the war, about how she used to love flying small machines. Before the leaders told her she was too weak for anything important, Ellis listened without interrupting. His eyes were kind, his face soft in those quiet hours. An unexpected bond formed, not because they trusted each other completely, not yet, but because they shared something deeper. Loneliness, pain, the feeling of being left behind. By nightfall, Sierra no longer felt like just a survivor. She felt like a partner, someone who could help, someone who mattered. As Ellis prepared a new blanket for her, she found herself saying softly, "Thank you for not seeing me as nothing." Ellis knelt beside her and answered simply, "You've never been nothing, Sierra. You just needed someone to remind you." Sierra lay down with those words in her heart. The human soldier, who should have hated her, treated her with respect, warmth, and kindness. And in that kindness, Sierra felt stronger than she had ever felt before. A dangerous choice. The stars above the broken city shined cold and bright. But inside the ruined shelter, the small fire still glowed warmly. Sierra sat close to it. But tonight felt different. The bond between her and Captain Ellis had grown strong. They shared stories, helped each other, and even smiled, small moments that made her feel alive again. But that peace was fragile, because tomorrow, everything could change. Ellis sat across from her, quietly polishing a strange tool. His face looked calm, but his eyes held a shadow of worry. Sierra could sense it. Finally, she asked what had been burning inside her all day. "What will you do when your people come?" Ellis paused. He set the tool down and leaned forward, elbows resting on his knees. His voice was soft but serious. "I don't know," he admitted. "If they see you, they might want to take you." Sierra's chest tightened. Fear returned, sharp and cold. She hugged her knees tightly. "Will you let them?" she whispered. Ellis looked straight into her eyes. "I told you before," he said gently, "you matter. But bringing you back, it's dangerous. The others won't understand." His words felt like a heavy stone in her heart. Sierra lowered her head. "Then leave me," she said softly. "Better to leave me here than to hand me to those who will hurt me." But Ellis shook his head slowly. "I can't do that, Sierra." His voice was quiet, but full of emotion. He reached out and placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "You're stronger than you think," he said. "You fixed my scanner. You helped me. You've survived what most couldn't. You deserve more than this ruined city." Sierra felt tears in her eyes, but she quickly wiped them away. She didn't want him to see her cry again. Ellis stood up and began packing his small bag carefully. Every move he made showed how heavy this decision was for him, bringing an alien. Even a childlike Sierra back to a human base could mean punishment. It could destroy his career. He could be seen as a traitor. Sierra knew this. She spoke again, her voice breaking. "Why risk so much for me? I'm not even human." Ellis stopped packing. He turned to her slowly. His next words made her heart stop. "Because when I look at you, I don't see alien anymore. I see someone who needs a chance. Just like I once needed one." He sat back down beside her, and maybe, cute, added softly, "maybe saving you is how I save myself." The fire crackled softly between them. A long silence followed. Then Ellis spoke firmly, with new determination. "I've made my choice, Sierra. You're coming with me." Her eyes widened. Hope and fear mixed inside her. "Even if they punish you." Ellis nodded slowly. Even then, Sierra felt something new inside her courage. For so long she believed she was worthless, unwanted. But this human, strange, gentle human, was willing to risk everything for her, and that gave her strength. They sat side by side in silence, watching the flames dance. Tomorrow would be dangerous. Tomorrow they would face the unknown. But tonight, she knew she was not alone, and Captain Ellis knew exactly what he had to do, even if it meant defying his own people, held like she mattered. Morning light crept slowly over the ruined city, filling the broken streets with a pale glow. Sierra sat quietly near the dying fire, her small hands gripping the blanket around her. She watched as Captain Ellis carefully checked his weapon and his scanner one last time. His face was calm but serious. This was the day when everything would change. The radio crackled again. "Extraction team arriving in 2 hours. Captain Ellis, prepare for pickup." Sierra's heart pounded faster. She looked at Ellis with fear in her eyes. Would he keep his promise? Would he really take her? Ellis knelt beside her and spoke softly. "When my team arrives, stay close to me. Don't run. Don't hide." Sierra swallowed hard. "But what if they see me as a threat?" Lisa's eyes softened. "Then I'll protect you," he said simply, "no matter what." She nodded slowly, her trust complete, even though fear still lived deep inside her. The hours passed quickly. Suddenly, the sound of engines filled the air. From above, a large human dropship descended, its engines roaring. sending dust and ash swirling around them. Sierra crouched low, her body tense, ready to run, but Ellis placed a firm, steady hand on her shoulder. "Stay," he whispered. The ship's ramp lowered with a loud hiss. Several human soldiers appeared, dressed in heavy armor, weapons ready. Their eyes scanned the area quickly. Then their leader stepped forward. Captain Ellis, the leader, called out, "We're here. Are you ready for extraction?" Ellis took a deep breath. He stood tall, but his hand stayed on Sierra's shoulder. "I'm ready," he said. The soldiers paused when they saw Sierra. Their eyes narrowed. One of them raised his weapon slightly. "What is that?" the leader asked sharply. Ellis did not hesitate. He stepped forward, gently lifting Sierra into his arms. His voice was calm but firm. "She's with me." The other soldiers exchanged glances. Confusion, suspicion. "Captain, she's an alien. Enemy species." "We can't," Ellis cut them off. "She's with me," he repeated, louder this time. "She is not a threat. She needs help. And I'm taking her." Sierra froze in his arms. She could hear the tension in the air, feel the danger. The soldiers looked ready to argue, maybe even stop him. But Ellis held her close. His grip strong and steady. In that moment, Sarah felt something powerful. Safety. Real, true safety. He was holding her not as an enemy, not as a burden, but like she mattered. Finally, the leader gave a small nod. "Your responsibility." "Captain," he said reluctantly. Ellis nodded once. Then he carried Sierra up the ramp of the dropship, never letting go, holding her carefully as if she was the most precious thing in the world. As the ship lifted off the ground, Sierra looked out through the small window. The ruined city, her broken home, grew smaller and smaller, until it disappeared completely, and she felt something she thought she would never feel. Again, hope. A warm tear slid down her cheek, but this time, it was not from sadness. She rested her head on Ellis's shoulder. For the first time, she knew. She mattered to someone. The human who should have left her behind had chosen instead to carry her forward.